So you've hit 11th level with Bard and you get to select your 6th level spells. I am here to help you choose which ones and to analyze each one to give you some options. Starting off with Eyebite. So Eyebite is one of those spells that we turn on and then we use our action each turn to use it. And it has 3 different uses. The first is asleep, where we just look at someone, they fail their wisdom save, and that one person falls asleep. So one action, one person falls asleep. Now, it will wake up if it takes damage, but they are unconscious, so it will be a crit whenever they do take damage. Or someone can use their action to shake that creature awake, so essentially an action for an action there. The next up is Panicked. They fail their wisdom save, now they're frightened of you and they have to spend their turns dashing away from you, but once they get 60 feet away from you, the effect ends automatically. And then the last one is Sickened. It's basically like they're poisoned. They have disadvantage on all ability checks and attack rolls, but they get to remake the save at the end of their turn. Now something else is when someone succeeds their save against Eyebite, they are immune to it so long as you're concentrating on the same Eyebite. So you can recast it and they won't be immune anymore, but so long as it's the same concentration, they're now immune. I really like Eyebite. I think it's really cool. I do like the imagery of you walking through the battlefield and just kind of pointing and people falling asleep each turn that you're pointing at someone, but that does have its issues. The first of which is you're targeting one person at a time. When we again have something from 3rd level, Hypnotic Pattern, that can target a whole bunch of people and make them all essentially unconscious, which is probably the strongest of our 3. It's the hardest to escape on top of just probably being the most brutal of the conditions, so we're probably going to be using it for sleep more often than not. But that's to compete directly with Hypnotic Pattern, which does that job for less expense, for more creatures, and they are not immune to it, so you can kind of recast it over and over again. So I do think it's outshone as far as a fight-winning spell goes, but that doesn't necessarily make me happy because I really do like this spell. I like its flavor and I think it's cool. So despite it not being the most powerful of spells, it is still good, and I do think it's cool, but power level is lower than I'd like. Next up is Find the Path. Now this one's kind of interesting because one of the components is an object from the place you wish to find. Now I don't know if the DM's going to make you use that if you have a spellcasting focus, but that's just kind of an interesting one. Usually it's pretty easy to get these spell components. In this case, it might be pretty tough. So you need to choose a specific location that does not move. It's on a different plane of existence. It also fails. It lasts up to 1 day, and for that 1 day, you just know the most direct route, and you can, if you find a fork in the road, you know which direction is going to be the shortest route, not necessarily the safest, but the shortest. Overall, this is a utility spell and not one I'm super excited about, especially for a 6th level spell. More often than not, we're going to find our way to where the DM wants us to find. If there's some secret place that the DM has alluded to throughout the whole campaign, okay, maybe you can pick this to go find that one specific location, and then when you level up, you can get rid of it. That's a very niche use case and probably the only time I ever see myself using this spell. Next up is Guards and Wards. So basically you create a set of magical defenses for a pretty large area. So you can basically take a mansion and create all of these effects in that mansion. Let's start with player side. So as a player, you can just say, we're in a building, now this building is really protected. And that's pretty cool. It's pretty niche, but it's pretty awesome. There is no enemy that is realistically going to be able to approach you in any form and at any advantage while this is up. It just is unrealistic. But that's a very niche situation for a 6th level spell for bards where we have to be very selective about our spells. I love this spell. I think it's really flavorful and really cool and very powerful in the niche that it does work, but I just don't see it working often enough to justify taking the spell. This is a spell I would consider giving to my bard for free as a magic item or as, you know, just some sort of gift, a song that they learn. Now, from the DM side, this is really interesting because they essentially just built a dungeon for you. Here's your dungeon. You have your mansion. Here's all of the traps and all of the puzzles they have to get through because someone has cast it for a year and now it's permanent. So there you go, dungeon in your pocket. And I do tend to like spells like that, but they really do feel like they more belong to the DM than they do players. This is one of those spells. Hero's Feast. Hero's Feast, it takes 1,000 gold pieces in material items to consume, and it's a very powerful spell. So you basically create a feast for your team. Takes 1 hour to eat. Up to 12 creatures can eat, and once that hour is over, all of these beneficial effects begin taking place, and they last for 24 hours. So what are the benefits? You're cured of all diseases and poisons. You become immune to being poisoned and frightened, and you make all wisdom saving throws with advantage. Your hit point maximum increases by 2d10. This does not count as temporary hit points and can stack with temporary hit points. You also gain the same number of hit points that you increased your max by, so you were just tankier. So let's say say we have a party of 6 people. That's a pretty standard party. We use this just for our party members, so that's only 6 people instead of 12. That is still 12d10 worth of extra hit points, advantage on wisdom saves, immunity to poisoned and frightened. This is a fantastic spell and is worth every penny to cast it. You're not going to want to cast it for every situation, but there's going to be a lot of days where you're going through some tough stuff. That Hero's Feast is super clutch. One of my favorite 6th level spells, especially as a support bard. Mass Suggestion. Oh, Mass Suggestion. This spell is really, really broken. This is definitely at least 8th level, but it's honestly better than the bad 9th level spells. This is an 8th level spell power level. It's absolutely a fight winning spell. You just select 12 creatures within 60 feet of you. They make a save. If they fail the save, you get to suggest that they do something, which is more often than not, leave this combat. So long as they're not hit, they just walk away, and you just killed up to 12 people with no concentration. Doesn't matter how many times you hit, that suggestion lasts for 24 hours. Not only is this crazy powerful just in combats, it's crazy powerful out of combats. You can sway a lot of social situations by suggesting 12 people act a certain way. And this is the first fight winning spell that beats Hypnotic Pattern. We did it. We did it, folks. It took to get to 6th level to beat that 3rd level spell, and now we have. Mass Suggestion is crazy, crazy powerful and good. And it's on my list of spells that I nerf. Next up is Otto's Irresistible Dance, another fantastic fight-winning spell. Now this one's a little different because it doesn't target a whole bunch of people, but this targets one person and they don't get a save. The effect automatically takes place. They can't move. They have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, and they have disadvantage on their attack rolls. They then have to use their action to make a wisdom save against your spell save DC. If they succeed, they can break the spell, but if they don't, they have to spend their next turn not moving. It's really, really powerful, and it totally bypasses legendary resistance. But keep in mind that if they're immune to the charmed condition, they're immune to this spell. Now, this is one of those incredibly powerful spells, but because it's mostly exclusive to Bard, I really wish it was absolutely exclusive to Bard. I don't really think Wizards should get this, but they do. So Bards and Wizards get this, but the fewer classes that get something, the more okay I am with it being a powerful spell. And this is one of those. Very powerful spell, but I am okay with it. Programmed Illusion is all about prep. You choose an illusion and you identify a specific trigger for that illusion. When the trigger happens, the illusion takes place and will continue to do so until dispelled. It can be activated again and again, and it can last for 5 minutes per condition that creates it. This is an awesome spell. Very creative use cases here. I love this spell. So you could program a ball bearing, for example, that when it is shaken, it creates an illusory dragon. It can fit within a 30-foot cube. So that can be a really big dragon. And it makes sounds, so it can begin roaring at people, and so it can be a major distraction, or it can be a way to escape. And it's because you cast it and then it's until dispelled, it sticks with you forever. Meaning as long as you have this ball bearing, you can do this over and over again. You can make multiple programmed illusions on different ball bearings. So you can shake one ball bearing and create a wall. It's incredible. It's so incredible what you can do with it. It's very spell slot efficient. So you could take this spell, create all your ball bearings for one level, next level, let the spell go, but you hold on to the ball bearings. This is an amazing utility spell, very slept on, probably one of the most underrated spells in the game. Love it. And finally, we have True Seeing. Within 120 feet, there are no such things as fooling us. Doesn't matter if it's magical darkness, doesn't matter if it's an illusion, doesn't matter if it's invisibility, whatever it is, we see it for its truth. Man, this is a very powerful utility spell in the right situation. The question is, how often is that situation coming up? That's really questionable, but as far as utility goes, I definitely place this in powerful utility. The only question is if it's going to come up often enough in your particular campaign. Thinking about my campaigns, yeah, I think this is a very powerful spell, but I can't say that for every campaign, unfortunately. So looking at the Bard's 6th level spell list as a whole, what does it represent? Well, first and foremost, it represents the improvement of our fight-winning spells. We now have advanced from our level 3 fight-winning spells, and we got some new, more powerful fight-winning spells in Irresistible Dance and Mass Suggestion, especially Mass Suggestion. We get probably one of the best support spells in Hero's Feast, absolutely amazing, and we get one of the most efficient utility spells in the game with Programmed Illusion. I absolutely love Programmed Illusion. That to me is both the surprise of analyzing the 6th level spell list, is like, how did I not not know how amazing this spell is, and the one I'm most excited to explore myself. Outside of that, we have a decent fight-winning spell in Eyebite, and we have a lot of like incredibly niche utility with guards and wards and find the path. Those kind of get put on the back burner for those other things I'm more excited about. Too long didn't read version, better fight-winning spells, one really amazing support spell, one really amazing utility spell. That's our 6th-level spell list. Do you agree or do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below, and let me know if I missed anything. I always love to learn. But with that, I hope you have yourselves a lovely day, and I'll see you on the next one. Later!